A 17-year-old boy's 2012 Britain's Got Talent performance astonished the world. Jonathan Antoine's voice was magical. He hid a secret for 28 years behind his celebrity. Early bullying began at 4 years old. Kids tossed snacks at him. Teacher found him crying alone. Everything changed with the diagnosis. Jonathan's problem went beyond weight and timidity. Something deeper revealed why he felt different his whole life. His final confession will destroy your heart. Jonathan Antoine was born in Chigwell, Essex, on January 13, 1995. It appeared quiet and affluent for growing up. Inside his realm, things were different. Jonathan has remarkable musical talent from childhood. By 6, he had perfect pitch, a rare trait among 10,000 people. Although his gift was unique, hardly one noticed. Instead, Jonathan was tormented so much that teachers regularly found him crying alone. He relaxed by humming long songs. His mother, Julie, said he would quietly compose songs in his brain during the toughest times. Despite showing signs of sadness by age 8, his brain was accomplishing something incredible. He remembered everything from one opera. Later, doctors diagnosed musical savant syndrome, anything found in less than 1,000 persons. His weight problem started earlier. When he was 4, food was his sole comfort. He was 40 pounds overweight at 5. At 6, he weighed 95 pounds, double the norm for his age. Children tossed food and called him harsh insults at lunch. He ate extra to cope with their taunts. Jonathan was 154 pounds at 10. His mom tried everything. To pay for therapy, she mortgaged their house twice. However, nothing worked. Later, doctors diagnosed him with trauma-induced hyperphagia, which causes severe weight gain in just 2% of mistreated children. His voice was discovered unexpectedly. When he was 10, Mrs. Williams, a replacement music teacher, was holding a choir audition. Jonathan tried to hide behind the other youngsters, but as he spoke, everyone heard something unreal. His voice was strong and tenor-like. Mrs. Williams subsequently remarked it sounded like Pavarotti stuck in a child's body. Jonathan's voice could reach frequencies beyond most children's, according to that first recording. Even more unexpected, he had natural vibrato, which takes vocalists 20 years to learn. Within weeks, he sang adult solos. He didn't need mic. His 95-decibel voice filled a 2,000-seat hall. The discovery was later dubbed one of the most significant in British music instruction. Jonathan entered the Stratford East London Music Festival at 15. The 298-pound man was barely over 5 feet tall. He competed against 47 singers, many of whom had years of training. Victoria Sterling, 17, who had sang at the Royal Opera House, was his toughest competition. Jonathan sang Nessun Dorma. By the end, roughly 2,000 individuals had filled a 1,200-person area. The crowd applauded him for about 4 minutes. Sir David Wilcox gave him a 98 out of 100, the festival's highest score. He won £2,500 and a recording contract. Also, he experienced being cheered for the first time, instead being insulted. He entered the Royal Academy of Music's junior program that year. A rare moment. Only 23 of 2,800 applicants were selected. Jonathan's audition was practically faultless, despite his anxieties causing him to puke twice. His academy teacher claimed his voice sounded like a trained 25-year-old. After his mother demonstrated their financial struggles, the school waived its £8,000 annual fee. Jonathan's weekends were spent training, 6 hours of singing technique, 4 of theory, and 2 of performance coaching. The other pupils first ignored him because of his appearance. 3 months later, he was cast as the Magic Flute's lead, making him the Academy's youngest ever. Jonathan's high school music instructor, Jenny Ewington, took a brave decision in 2011 that changed everything. Jonathan was 17, still over 20 stone, and she matched him with 16-year-old Charlotte Giaconelli. Jonathan was insecure. Charlotte was confident. She enjoyed performing since she was 8 and the spotlight. Jenny didn't guess. She chose Charlotte because her stage presence would balance Jonathan's powerful but bashful voice. Their debut duet, The Prayer, was performed for 15 pupils. Even in that small area, Jenny knew she had uncovered something remarkable. Jonathan and Charlotte were opposites. He practiced opera for hours daily, avoiding people. By 16, she had appeared in 30 musicals and enjoyed stage time. They sang together with a wonderful combination of voices. Jonathan had a C3 to C5 tenor voice. Charlotte sang soprano from C4 to C6. A music producer who heard their early recordings believed it was a once-in-a-generation vocal match. But behind the scenes, things weren't always easy. Jonathan was continuously pushed by Charlotte. He sometimes hid in the school restroom before rehearsals due to panic episodes. She would find him, calm him, and take him to the music room. They performed at local events to gain confidence. In February and April 2012, they sang in 23 churches, retirement homes, weddings, and pubs. Their first paid employment was an Easter service at a local church for £50 each. A major event occurred at Epping Forest Country Club, where they played for 200 charity dinner guests. Talent scouts approached after the 5-minute standing ovation. They were earning £300 every performance by April, and 40 additional places were eager to hire them. Though their song list had grown to 15, the prayer remained at the core of every performance. Jonathan prepared for the future with his tiny shows. Charlotte encouraged them to audition for Britain's Got Talent. After learning about the auditions in March 2012, Jonathan first declined. He didn't want to be mocked for his appearance on national TV. Charlotte persisted. She inquired for 3 weeks. She threatened to audition alone if he declined. She filed their application 13 minutes before the deadline. The video was shot in her bedroom. Jonathan was scarcely visible and afraid. When the producers contacted, they just wanted Charlotte, but she said both, or neither. The London Palladium hosted the audition on April 28th. Jonathan had never taken public transit alone. Charlotte stayed at his house the night before to ensure he wouldn't leave. In 2012, Jonathan Antoine entered Britain's Got Talent without knowing his life would alter forever. His age was 17. He looked nothing like the judges' favorite performers, wearing a basic t-shirt and having unkempt hair. The next event shocked millions. Simon Cowell made a harsh remark to Carmen Electra before Jonathan performed a note. Stated, "Just when you thought it couldn't get worse." That comment was filmed. Very cruel. The only criteria was Jonathan's appearance. Jonathan anticipated it. He later added, "I don't appear like a standard performer. I went out in my usual clothes." One of BGT's most memorable pre-performance footage. The prayer tune followed. Andrea Bocelli and Celine Dion made this stunning duet famous. Jonathan didn't pick it. Jeanette Brown, his piano teacher, asked him and Charlotte Giaconelli to play it at her wedding. When Jonathan started singing, the room shifted. The audience rose in seconds. People wept. Cowell was stunned. All 4 judges agreed. It went beyond a decent performance, a breakthrough. Everyone was more astonished by Simon's response. Jonathan was compared to Luciano Pavarotti by the same individual who criticized him minutes before. He said, "You'll shine." Experts concurred. Jonathan had a mature voice for his age. They said he had double the range and control of an older man. The performance went viral. This audition video was posted on March 24, 2012. Over 2.6 million views in weeks. It became the most-watched TV audition worldwide. International media covered it. Many compared Jonathan to Susan Boyle. Church leaders like Pastor Vati Bauscham shared the video as a fantastic narrative. Jonathan went from bullied teen to international star overnight. But the trek was difficult. Jonathan had a terrible past. At 280 pounds, he was bullied for years. He became a loner after a school panic attack. Mother Tracy said he would hide under a huge jumper and never left the house. Thus, his BGT performance was more than a performance. We won. The pressure continued. Jonathan had to combat nervousness to be calm in the semifinals. Charlotte panicked, but Jonathan had mastered breathing exercises to calm his fear. He sat down to steady himself before singing. The audience loved their Caruso performance again. By then, Simon Cowell said they were his favorite act of the show. Still, controversy returned. Simon stunned everyone by telling Jonathan to leave Charlotte and travel alone. Jonathan acted immediately, but he refused. He said, "We're here as a duo and will stay that way." That moment boosted his regard. They were predicted to win the final, but they lost. Ashley Butler and her dog Pudsey won with 39% of the vote. Jonathan and Charlotte placed second with 25.8%. A great surprise. Fans were devastated. Many thought popularity replaced talent. Simon Cowell was efficient. He gave Jonathan and Charlotte a £1 million record deal the day following the finale. Their September debut, Together, reached the top 10 on the UK albums chart. Simon planned the release to coincide with X Factor live broadcasts. He understood they had to attack while their performance was fresh in their minds. John was shocked. "I'm still pinching myself that we're making a CD," he remarked. The CD included such hits, including The Prayer and Caruso. More than 250,000 copies were sold. "Their CD would be amazing," said Simon. So it was. Perhaps Love was their second album a year later. It debuted October 14, 2013. Like their first, it peaked at number 5 in the UK, but something changed. Modern versions supplemented classical songs on the collection. A deeper issue emerged from that transition. Jonathan and Charlotte had different goals. Opera captivated Jonathan, serious classical. Charlotte preferred musical theater and new styles. They became too different to ignore. Jonathan studied classical music for years. He was named Young Musician of the Year in a 2010 regional contest. In contrast, Charlotte was a theater veteran. They struggled behind the scenes, but their second record was successful. In early 2014, they announced their split. Both tried to keep cheerful. The pair stated they were excited to record again. However, insiders said the separation followed months of song and musical direction disputes. Touring also harmed Jonathan. His health was precarious. He always struggled with weight and self-esteem. Before BGT, he wouldn't leave the house, his mother stated. After the show, media interviews, concerts, and appearances pushed him over. Jonathan had anxiety attacks. Jonathan and Charlotte teamed together for 2 years. Over 250,000 records sold. Their debut album, Together, peaked at number 5 in the UK. Fans were shocked in February 2014. A post went online. The pair split. Sony had secretly offered them unprecedented solo contracts for both. Such an offer is rare. Charlotte released Jonathan in October and her album in June. A unified statement tried to lessen the damage. They had an amazing journey after meeting in high school in 2006. However, they were going rapidly in different directions. Meeting with Sony to plan their third album was the turning point. Charlotte later said they couldn't agree. Not the songs, tone, or vision. Jonathan desired more classical opera. Charlotte preferred musicals. The divide existed. Sony thought, why not go solo? A month later they decided. Charlotte moved fast. In July 2014, she released Solitaire, her first solo album. She made her professional theater debut at London's Landor Theatre in February 2015. She played Amalia Balash in Broadway classic She Loves Me. The show aired February 4th to March 7th. This was more than a job shift for her. Transformation occurred. She started performing live on stage nightly, which she adored. Jonathan's trip was unique. He was hesitant. He was scared. At 19, he doubted he could do it alone. Charlotte always had stage presence. He gained confidence from her. Now he had to discover it alone. Their success was huge. Worldwide sales exceed 200,000 albums. A top 10 Billboard classical crossover spot. Overwhelming expectations. He retreated, trained, he recovered. He tried to recall why he loved music. Fans disliked the breakup. Harsh headlines. One reads, "She ditches him. It hurt." People loved them together, not ready to let go. Solo transactions were supported by industry insiders. Others worried it was premature. Their second album, Perhaps Love, debuted in the U.S. in October 2013. It seemed like the start. Jonathan continued. He released Tenere, 12 classical tracks, Serious Opera, in October 2014, topping the official classical artist album chart. He was the youngest tenor to top that list, aged 19. Even more astonishing, the album reached number 13 on the UK pop chart. A breakthrough. He was not only surviving but conquering alone. One moment stood out that year. The legendary tenor Placido Domingo requested Jonathan to perform as his special guest at the iTunes Festival in London. Respect and Jonathan's arrival were signaled. Jonathan tackled a concept album in 2020, his biggest project. Going the Distance debuted June 5th, recording with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra and produced by Grammy winner Greg Field, took 3 years. This record wasn't ordinary. The 3-act tale was inspired by Jonathan's journey. He sung Pavarotti's legendary aria Nessun Dorma for the first time. Finally, on March 15th, PBS televised a concert special with a full orchestra and choir. Jonathan became the performer fans dreamed of at 25. He shocked everyone again in 2024, requesting the Diane Warren Songbook, Volume 1, 8 tracks, 33 minutes. Collaboration with pop star Diane Warren. She wrote for Celine Dion, Aerosmith, Lady Gaga, and Jonathan. Jonathan Antoine was 17 when he appeared on Britain's Got Talent in 2012. Shy, overweight, and nervous, no one predicted what happened next. His voice shocked everyone. He sang and flew. One performance transformed his life. However, the audience never saw his years-long perplexity and silent battles. More than a decade passed before the truth was revealed. Jonathan revealed a secret in an Australian interview in early 2023. His diagnosis was autism. After his 27th birthday in late 2022, the news broke. It felt like a dream to him. For his loved ones, it was shocking. Nobody guessed it throughout his climb to prominence after 5 successful albums or while touring the world. But the diagnosis clarified everything. Suddenly, years of inner agony, social anxiety, and confusion made sense. Neither was it an excuse. It was clear. He wrote an Instagram message for World Autism Awareness Day that year. He wrote about how the diagnosis altered his self-image. He said it was scary, but freeing. Jonathan endured incomprehensible hardships for 28 years. 2 big emotions plagued him. He was exhausted after interviews. After his rapid prominence, he faced relentless criticism and pressure. All this happened while he silently lived with undiagnosed autism. Public confession sparked rapid and tremendous response. His voice trembled as he revealed this was his first public statement about it in that interview. He said finding an explanation for those tough times was a relief. Not knowing for so long made things harder. He stated clearly, He felt like he was 28 years in the dark. Beyond the spotlight, grief was always present. Weight bullying began around age 4 for Jonathan. BGT exacerbated scrutiny. Fame came swiftly, but criticism came faster. He often felt misunderstood. He now sees that many of his challenges were indicators of something bigger. Autism can be disguised in brilliant and creative people, as no one detected it sooner. Jonathan spoke up for himself and others instead of dwelling on remorse. He promoted mental health and neurodiversity on his platform. Classic FM's Make Some Noise and pediatric brain tumor research were among his causes. He publicly discussed autism's daily effects on social media. He posted more than slogans. He described the sensation. As he had for 28 years, he wished to aid others struggling in silence. He spoke to millions, making his words matter. His personal journey continued. As he accepted autism, he changed his body. Jonathan struggled with weight throughout his life. By BGT, he weighed 280 pounds, but he changed drastically in the years that followed. He shed over 50 pounds in 4 months on Weight Watchers in 2013. He lost 5 stone, or 70 pounds, and kept it off. He looked so different that fans didn't identify him in images. But it wasn't just appearances. It meant feeling better and in control. A thyroid problem that went untreated contributed to his weight loss struggles. Once physicians found it, everything changed. He now grasped why weight loss was so hard. Managing his thyroid provided him a lift, which he used. He created a hallowed daily habit. He began walking 10,000 steps daily on January 12th. Since then, he missed only 2 days. Despite his location or task, he persisted. He even paced in place to score. He saw walking as more than exercise, to take charge of his life. Calories were burnt, cleared his thoughts. He gained structure. It was sometimes his only source of control. He then stated, "I feel stronger and healthier than in 10 years. That means he last felt this terrific when his career began. He's still pursuing more ambitions, but with greater clarity, power, and peace. Regaining his health benefited him mentally. It wasn't just scale numbers. The story was about overcoming years of stagnation. Jonathan unexpectedly fell in love through it all. Web conversation introduced him to Canadian waitress Michelle Doucet. Their connection began when he was lost. After breaking up with Charlotte Giacinelli, he was striving to find his identity as a solo artist. Michelle supported and encouraged him. She became his muse and boosted his confidence. He considered her the light of his life and inspired his album, Belief. Michelle supported Jonathan from Canada while living apart. They attended Florence Foster Jenkins' premiere in 2016 after announcing their romance. Michelle was more than background. She actively influenced Jonathan's creativity. He claimed she understood him well. With the emotional weight of his autism diagnosis and work responsibilities, such support became even more vital. His relationship with Charlotte deteriorated. Jonathan stated they rarely chatted in a 2017 interview, answering fans' questions. He remarked that working non-stop leaves no time for old friendships. After a meeting with Sony, they couldn't agree on third album songs and split. The label eventually proposed solo projects. A month was spent on an emotional decision. Once they did, they couldn't go back. Jonathan prepared to film his entire story. Documentary on his life in progress. Beyond the High Sea, led by David J. Baird, may begin production in 2023 or 2024.